We're live. Welcome to They Talk Funny. This is episode 52. My guest today is comedian Bryan Hatt. Bryan is a 20-year veteran. He's been touring the country. He's actually found. I have to say I love the. You're frozen at this point in time, so we have a spotty connection. I'm hoping that it works out good for the show. But I've been loving your Uncle Doug, your Doug Ford impressions that you've put out. They've been wonderful. So for those who don't know, who would not know who you are, Bryan? Like you've played every corner of this country in a couple of the round spaces too. Where we're wait? Okay, are
Okay, I caught a little bit of that.
you caught a little bit of that. So welcome, Bryan, to They Talk Funny.
Oh my god,
This is a talk show where we'll talk about
yeah.
comedy writing, what's happened in the career in the industry for the past year, and hopes for the future. How would you describe your comedy?
I always, well, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's up to the audience to decide what it is, but I always aim for smart, silly. That's kind of the combo that always hit me right through the chest the most. You know, what I mean, like your Conan O'Brien's, your John Doerr's. Just that it's kind of like I want to make you think, but not too much. Do you know what I mean? I still believe deep down that comedy is it's meant to be relief. You know what I mean? It is medicine in a sense, and I want to keep it light. That's me, and I take a lot of pride too in trying to personalize the shows that I do. When I was doing shows, by involving the crowd too, I like to keep my shows alive as much as possible, because obviously, as you know, I as far as writing goes, I don't have the turnover that some guys do. So I like to personalize each show, make each show individual, just by using the crowd almost to segment your own material. That's what I think I do best anyway.
How would you describe how you use the crowd? Are you talking about talking and then using that Rolodex of jokes, or are you sort of trying to force certain answers out of them that you have jokes prepared for?
Sort of a combination of both. Like I am always a big proponent to. I know we're here to talk about writing, but here's a performance tip for you. Always, always, always study your crowd. I say before you get on there. As a person, especially for someone like me who likes to interact with the crowd, I have done this long enough now, where I almost feel like a guy to say, like people have types, archetypes, if you will. Like the difference between the mentality of somebody who sits front row versus someone that's hiding in the back. Like right there, that tells me a lot about you. So I like to identify those people as quickly as possible, and then use them to try and make my jokes feel organic. Use them to start a joke with me, but I already obviously know. Well, I have an idea of what I want to say, but as much as I can, use the audience to facilitate that, as opposed to, and there's nothing wrong with it, as the people that like to just kind of go up there, just stand up and fire. Do you know what I mean? I like to try and bring everybody into the circle more so.
Yeah, you want to be have at least the appearance of being more organic as in using the people that are there. Uh, I recently for those people who are tuning in, if you have any questions for Bryan, you can just
Yes.
put them into the chat and we can bring them on screen. And uh, I
Okay.
actually I was being interviewed last night and a person told me that they were afraid to sit up front. And that's a common fear that I hear from a lot of people who are going to audience or going to comedy shows, or people who would be in the audience, or some people who are just too afraid to go to comedy shows because they're afraid of being picked on. What now you say that you like to use those people, but would you describe what you do as picking on them? Or are we fighting with each
No,
other?
no.
Like okay.
I noticed this year. There are certain visual cues that audience members will give sorry, there are certain visual cues that audience members will give you. Like when I look down to look at somebody, they're going to lower their eye and conversation by the fact you don't look away from me. Who you try, and they had, sorry for the expression, but like a shit-eating grin on their face, dying for you to put that spotlight on them. I am very good about how identifying who is who within the crowd, and it's a lot of kind of what's the word, just kind of profiling. But I mean, in a sense, it really works so that I can, within a few minutes of even just looking at the crowd, kind of figure like who the problems are going to be, who the great people, where I can bounce some jokes off of. Yeah, that's. I pity the people that don't want to sit up front, but I almost pity the people who do more so, because they're trying their best to become part of the show. I want to help them with that.
I always find,
but I wouldn't say I pick on people. No.
Okay, I find one of the most dangerous type of hecklers would be the people who want to sit in the back so they can't be seen, but they just fire the shots from the dark. Like, is that one of the archetypes that you categorize, or?
Oh, well, I mean, yes. I mean, again, that's sort of like you can spot that guy coming into the club. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's definitely a type. Yeah. They also have kind of the opposite of that. The guy, like I say, who's too hungry for action. Like, I literally have to avoid you because if I know if I give you an inch, if I just twist that fucking top a little bit, you're gonna pop off, and I won't be able to get the cat back on. Like, you got to learn to identify the right type. And I got great advice from Chuck Byrne very early in my career too. When you're talking to people, ask questions that have simple answers, preferably one or two words. Don't give people too much time to extrapolate, because that's when you start losing momentum and taking the focus off of you where it belongs, or getting through the transition to the next joke. And that's very useful to me over the years, certainly.
I think I had the same advice from Chuck. It's basically try to ask yes no questions and have be prepared for at least 3 or 4 different types of responses, like the yes, the no, that takes too long to respond to, or just the weird response, because you never know what might fly at a left field. Uh, I'm experiencing this delay. Do you possibly have something else running on your phone, or uh, I'm just trying to deal with the delay that we're getting.
No, the Wi-Fi is looking good.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know how to do much about that on my end.
Okay, then we're gonna power
Tech
through
wizard, I am not.
that. The Mr. Tech Wizard.
Okay, let's give it a try. Maybe if I stop over.
All right.
Remember
Now,
that guy, Mr. Wizard? What happened to that guy?
um, I'm trying to remember where from. This is the bad thing. It's especially over the COVID. My memory has been going, so it scares me silly. Uh, but how's your writing habits during COVID? Have you like sort of solidified into anything, or what were your habits like beforehand? Have they changed since the lockdown and the sort of like the enforced uh, times that we've had?
Uh, well, yes, yeah. I mean, they've definitely changed the habits, certainly, for better and for worse. One good thing about the pandemic has been that it's afforded me time to do other things. Because I find honestly sometimes if I'm just grinding away at stand up for too long, if it's just bits, I start to get too narrow a focus and get the writer's block. So this break has give me the chance to I'm working away at a pilot now, and I've been writing like those sketches at the Doug Ford kind of things, and just trying to open my mind up in different ways, which has been incredibly refreshing, and in turn has caused that stand-up brain to start firing again too, because the creativity is, the flow is a little bit higher volume now. On that note, though, I definitely am writing stand up less. I don't know about you, but I have always sort of preferred writing with people. Eddie Del Seppi has been probably my biggest partner in crime for many, many years. I'm a big proponent of just having, two minds are better than the one, just getting together. And I still do it with him occasionally from LA. We'll just talk on the phone
Yeah.
and just fire bits back and forth. And we get to, you give me a premise, we'll fire off some punchlines, see what sticks. I'll do mine, and we go back and forth and back and forth. And I have not been able to do that as much, unfortunately, because of all this. But I miss it dearly, and I can't wait to get back to it.
Do you've not participated in any like Zoom writing rooms that have cropped up? Is like Eddie like the only person that you write with, or?
No, no. I do write with other friends in passing, but it's more so the Zoom. I have had problems, like I said, just for the style of comedy I try and do, the way I try and incorporate the live aspect of the show. I tried a few Zoom shows and I didn't, it it wasn't as satisfying as I would like it to be. I mean, I did okay, things went well. But I also on one show also got to see how things could go terribly wrong due to technical malfunctions and such. Um, so I mean, yeah, that's not been something I've really been that interested in. Um, but of course, I will happy to do. I'll concede for certain things. Um, but yeah, as far as writing, I again another good thing about the pandemic is it has taught me to be a little more independent in that sense that um, because my life is sort of structured by my gigs and just going to open mics, amateur nights, whatever. All that structure being gone, it's taught me how to replace that structure in my own life. Now that I have this completely open calendar, like it's like a blank canvas, and someone just says paint something, and it's a daunting task. So, yeah, I guess that's been good. It's changed the way I write. Um, like now, I sort of inspiration. I don't really sit at the computer and just tap away. I get an idea, I write it down. Um, I try and decide: is this a premise? Is this a punchline? Is this a sketch? Is this a stand-up joke? And then a couple hours every day in the morning, usually right after that first coffee, I like to just look at the things I got there and pick away and see if anything new comes in. Just keep hitting that list day after day after day. Talk to my friends, bounce some things off them when I get the chance. See if something sounds like.
Oh, and we just lost Brian. Brian is disconnected. Uh, let's see if we can get him back. We may have to cancel the rest of this episode. While we're waiting for that, while we're waiting for Brian, I'm gonna show. There he is. Okay, let's see what's happening. Are you back?
Man,
Oh, your connection seems so much better
I had
right
to
now.
take the quickest dump. I'm so sorry.
And I
I
spoke too
just
soon.
realized. I wonder if the fake fireplace I had going was draining on the Wi-Fi, so I turned that off. Maybe that'll help.
Well, yeah. If you're streaming something or downloading, pirating tons of movies, that can sort of affect it.
Yeah.
You mentioned your sketch writing. I wanted to show people one of your Uncle Dougie videos. Could I show the most current one?
Please, yes, go ahead. Yeah.
All right. I hoping the sound comes through well on this. Just get the banners out of the way. For people, this can be seen. Mike Gamash is thinking he thinks Rogers is wreaking havoc on this. So hopefully not. Hopefully,
Oh man. They almost cost me a damn audition yesterday.
Oof.
We interrupt this program for an important message from the Premier of Ontario.
Can you hear that?
Hey, everybody. Sorry to interrupt again. I know I'm not Mr. Popular right now, but I do actually have to go over a couple things from yesterday. Okay. Good news, bad news to start. Good news, I'm giving you Dollarama back, okay? The whole thing, right? That's yours. Bad news, Canadian Tire is now Just Tires, okay? I'm sorry, but I gotta make up the difference somewhere. Also, Bed Bath & Beyond, you're just beds now, period. Beds only. I didn't even know what the hell Beyond is anyways. A few more closures, construction sites. If I didn't say that yesterday, you're done, okay? Parks, let me be clear about this. I'm talking about city parks, national parks, ballparks, car parks, any kind of park, you're done. Doors, okay, doors. You probably don't think about this one. Front doors, fucking kitchen door, saloon door. I want them all closed, okay? You can let your fucking mother in. Don't be smart. You can let your mom in, okay? But just no friends, all right? Just don't leave the door hanging wide open 24/7, okay? If you need air, open the fucking window. Actually, no. Windows closed. I forgot about that. Sorry. I don't know. Buy a fan. Here's one, and this is important. And come on. Butts closed. All right? And I'm not even joking here. No farting. Okay, I hear you laughing, but you know what? That's a super spreader. Farting, okay? You're getting farticles everywhere. I can't have that. In fact, I'm making that a fine right now. $50 a fart. $25 for the ladies. Okay? I'm serious. Now, please don't make me out to be the bad guy, okay? You think I don't want to be on the beach ripping bong hits with the boys right now? Okay, please. We all had plans. Here's what I'm asking. Let's just come together as a team. Can't we just come together as a team so we can get out of this rut and have a nice hot girl summer? Yeah, let's do it for old Uncle Doug. Uncle Doug, right? He's here for you, right? How about a Doug Ford on 3? 1, 2, 3, Doug Ford. Okay.
We interrupt this program for an important...
There we go. Nicely done. You've got a bit of traction with this stuff too, haven't you?
It was interesting. I guess the timing was right, but yeah, I had a lot of people before me. And hi.
Hi. Okay. I'm just.
Hi. There we go. There we go. Yeah.
The odd syllable.
Yeah. I was saying. Yeah. I was saying I've had a lot of people I've never met before reach out to me to specifically talk about Doug Ford. A lot of angry country people, which is funny to me because I always say it's it's the country that votes conservative. I grew up in a little town. They always vote conservative. And most of the angry messages I got were from people stuck in butt fucking nowhere, having to suffer the same rules as me in a town of 3 million people. So needless to say, people were hungry for a little Doug Ford bashing.
Yeah, a little bit of Uncle Dougie sort of really gave them something to solidify against. For
Yes,
sure.
yes.
For people who are not in Ontario, I suppose that was your comedic take. How would you describe what your province has been going through with COVID?
I mean, part of it is to be expected, being such a large city. Having so many people, and we're not quite as spread out over here. It's just though it's the mismanagement of resources, what seems to be another lack of acceptance for science. I mean, not a lot of science seems to be going into some of these decisions he's making. I mean, he's passing out police powers like that question our very human rights when all people really need is vaccine in 6 days. That's all we need: vaccine in 6 days. Like my own, I guess he would be my brother. My brother's brother-in-law is one of these people that got COVID. It's because he has to go to work every day. He has to ride a bus 45 to an hour every day to go to a factory, so he can eat and pay rent. And he wouldn't have got COVID if he could have just had a paid day off, but he's essential service. So, no. No, no breaks for him. So that's maddening. Like we see other people. I mean, we were laughing at America not too long ago, and now they're going to lap us. You know, they're going to be out of this thing, and we're going to still be looking for our third shot of Pfizer. That's
Yeah,
embarrassing.
it's
I mean, granted, America was going to get all the vaccines, right? They make half the fucking table. So a little slow on our side, certainly, but I feel like we could have done better with this. But this is what you get for electing a former hash dealer as conservative leader of a province. It still blows my mind that people will vote party over politics. It's unbelievable.
I forgot to say this earlier. It was happy 420.
Best one ever. I'm telling you, man.
Everybody can hop
that
off.
was a good one too. George Floyd. Yeah. Let's give it up for that guy.
You were referencing the Chauvin trial,
Yes. I mean, could you think of a better way to celebrate 420 than some murderous cop getting thrown in jail?
A terrorist cop being thrown in jail. That is.
These are the same guys that used to harass my ass for a simple fucking joint.
I think it was a little bit further on that. Just Twitter, just so everyone can see. You're Bryan Hatt on Twitter. The Uncle Dougies are on your Instagram, so there's Bryan_Hatt on Instagram. Now, you mentioned banging away at the keyboard for when you were writing. Do you do most of your writing on the keyboard, or because you said you write down ideas? Do you still do the notebook and pen thing, or do you write long?
No, sadly. Yes, but only in its final when it's done. Like when you can literally chip it into stone, do I actually write it out full form? Because again, I'm sort of I mean, this is a terrible habit. I shouldn't even be saying this, but in my effort to be organic, I don't like to lock words in until I found that that they have that fit. They work the best way possible. I don't like to commit to that until I feel that it's really connecting. So I usually don't write things down, but I don't have a notebook anymore, which I hate. I'm a slave to this fucking phone. I'm talking to you now, and it's become way too big of a part of my life. And on a couple of different occasions, I've tried to go back to the notebook, but just the convenience of it's my office in my hand, it's my notepad, it's my encyclopedia, it's I've even used it to be like, oh, has somebody done this fucking joke before? Like I used to have to call Darren Frost for that and get him to go through his little Rolodex. And, now it's all right there, No, I don't. I always knew Frosty a little better than Duke, but Alan Park is a good guy for that too. He always knew.
When you're writing your jokes, to be the smart silly, you said that you actually use the encyclopedia, on your phone to research things. Do you have any tips or tricks as into what would make a joke smarter, or make a too smart joke more accessible?
I would never accuse myself of ever being too smart. But I think when I say smart is that I like to, and John Dora, again, to sort of quote him, he does this so spectacularly well, where he uses sort of the format against you in a lot of ways. Like, so he leads you down a path where you think you're going, where you think you're going, and then he spins it around on you and makes it completely something else entirely. And, which a lot of that is just misdirection. But I mean, he's found a way to do it on so many different on so many different levels that I sort of aspire to be that too. Like I always try and punch up, for example. Like I find I don't like to pick on easy targets. I don't like to make simple jokes. Do you know what I mean? Like to keep it smart in that sense. Do you know what I mean? Like try not to take the easy joke if at all possible, and to go a little further with it. And it's hard to explain. Like, but at the same time, the silly comes in where the show I don't want to, and like on believe a Chappelle show sometimes is as much as you are entertained, you're also sort of left in a state of meditation almost. Like he leaves you almost with more questions than answers sometimes because he brings up these great, big, wonderful subjects. You know what I mean? I'm almost, yeah, I'm going, my goal is the opposite. I'm trying to put that all behind you. Like I want to be, I want to be the beanbag chair of comedy. You know, I mean, I want you to just sit back, relax, and just be comfortable and have a good time, and not think about a goddamn thing about except for what this fat asshole is doing in front of you. That's my goal. Mhm.
So
But at the same time, yeah, I'm not trying to be a stupid birthday clown. I want there to be some intelligence to it.
do you like using the negative space in a joke, like not exactly spelling it all out, so they have to kind of piece it
Oh
together?
yes,
Like that's something
yes,
I've
yes, yeah,
observed with you before. Is you sort of leave the space, give a little bit of a head
yeah.
nod, and
A wink and a nod. Yes, yes, yeah. Yeah, that's and again, for as long run writing, it was Boris, the incredible hypnotist, to give full credit, who taught me less is more, of course, in writing, which is a classic lesson everybody needs to know. Is
mm,
if you don't have to say it, don't. Do you know what I mean? I had a bad habit as an amateur uh, of just presuming that the over explaining everything, everything was overwritten. Um, and I'll never forget. He asked me to write out one of my jokes once, and then literally just blacked out. It looked like a redacted military government form or something. I was just like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "Okay, read the joke again," and I read it, and it was 100 times better. He'd done everything I wanted to do in like 4 lines when I was taking like 14.
yeah. Now,
Yeah.
was this when Comedywood was still active?
That is right. I was an intern. Sorry, I think I made minimum wage, so technically I was a part-time employee.
Because that well,
But
that
yeah, that
that
was the
was active
very
when I moved to Toronto.
infancy of my career.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Oh
JD Huntley.
wow. Fuck. I didn't know if I remembered you were there. But JD. That's
Yeah,
how I met the great JD Huntley, man. He was one of the first headliners that was truly like he wasn't trying to like intimidate me or treat me like an amateur or a middle or whatever. He was truly arms open, very kind. He talked to me like a human being, which not all the headliners did.
he actually signed
Yeah.
a picture for Boris saying from 0 to 30, thanks to you. So because Boris gave him enough stage time to get there. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was those were some decent clubs, I gotta say. The Uptown was a little too big, but Boris was a fair
yeah.
guy. He was good.
Hold it, Boris hasn't died, has he? Because you just said was. Um,
No, I there we go. There it is, circling, circling, and we're back. No, Boris is fine. The clubs are dead,
yeah. Okay. Okay. Good.
sadly,
That's,
but
well, I mean,
he
not good that
was
the clubs
touring
are dead,
last time
but
I heard. Yes. No, no, I actually have more clubs than Mary. But he was a pretty prolific hypnotist. Like not a lot of people could sell that fucking place out, but Boris could.
mhm.
Yeah, because he had been on the Tonight Show, I think, briefly. I'd seen him on Jerry Springer. I think he'd had some, he had had some success. He killed the college tours, like they loved him down there.
Hmm. Uh, now, this past year, we sort of alluded to the trial that came to its conclusion today. In this past year, with the amount of lockdowns, with also what has happened in the states. We've talked a little bit about the Zoom comedy shows and how they don't have that organic feel, so it's kind of harder to get the read on the audience. Uh, like you've had to cancel a lot of shows.
Yes, yes. I just keep rebooking them and canceling them.
What kind of lessons have you learned in this past year? Like and for people who aren't in the industry, can you kind of describe the hardship that is like being an independent contractor in a time where your industry is closed?
Yes. Well, I mean, one thing I definitely learned is that that I was taking many things for granted. It just happens over time. I didn't realize it until it was all snatched away from me. You know what I mean? I left laugh about the things that I was sort of complaining about before the pandemic. You know, I mean, just sort of the politics of show business and all that stuff. Because I would put up with it 1,000 times over again just to get back to work again. We, it's only enhanced my love. I think the first show I did, kind of mid pandemic, was about 4 or 5 months after we shut down. It was a park show. And I swear to God, I felt like an amateur all over again. I had not been that nervous for a 7 minute set of material I had done, many times before. And it was in a way, even though it was nerve wracking at the time, I thought I was going to throw the fuck up, which I have not had that feeling since the first time I headlined. But it was also invigorating as hell. It felt terrific to sort of to feel that blood coursing again. It's why I would always go to amateur nights week after week, is to just feel that from the kids, to remind myself that stand up is great and it's supposed to be fun. Like I sometimes that lesson can be lost on me, but that has been, tattooed on me for the rest of my life. As far as moving forward, like I honestly am still optimistic. I mean, I know that there will be clubs that probably won't survive, at least in the short term. And I am certainly tragic for that. But I think that when things do finally come to some sort of sense of normal, I don't think it'll ever be what it used to be, but um, I think people are going to be craving like the very thing that we were giving them before. And it'll be like, because it will have sort of like, you remember when stand up started, it had this sort of dirty, gritty, underground feel. Like, almost maybe I shouldn't be hearing this. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. You're stuck in a little room, and this guy was saying these things, or this girl that you had never heard people say. That I think stand-up's going to come back with a little bit of that energy because people have been trapped inside, and it's going to feel a little dirty. I think it's going to feel good. So I look forward to that, and I feel for all the people. Like I have been very lucky, XM Radio and the residuals that it's brought to the comedy community, and how it's helped so many of us. That's been a blessing, certainly. So I pity people who had just started comedy and stuff like that. I feel for them, because it's going to be so much tougher for them to start comedy right now and get that momentum going. But I look forward to getting back to it. I look forward to helping those people. I mean, I am more excited about comedy than I have been almost in my entire career. Which is why if the government doesn't, it's just kind of just tighten up the act a little bit. I get that this is all off the top of the dome. We're all kind of making it up as we go along, but there has to be a somewhat more intellectual effort moving forward. So I can keep that faith, because the hardest thing has been the faith is slowly grinding away. It's getting harder and
It's
harder to remain optimistic.
it's been a very long year. That is for sure. But I mean, with the fact that people are starting being vaccinated, there's the hope is there, and the idea that the audience is going to be thirsty for live entertainment. Maybe we'll
Yeah.
you hope that we're going to have like another boom, like the '80s comedy boom.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll boom quite like that, but I think will feel like it, at least to some degree. Um, and there will be that, because the community has definitely shrunk, so there's room for it to grow back again a little bit. So it might feel like it's swelling up again, and yeah, it might not look exactly the same as you remember it. Things might be a little more spread out, a little bit smaller, a few more outdoor shows, but it's one of those things like you just can't kill it. It's if you look back in the history book, comedy has survived much worse things than this. Literally exile. What I mean? Like artists and comedians being thrown out of the country. This is nothing. We can get through this. I believe that.
Yeah, talking about new comedy clubs. Ian Black just opened up a Yuck Yucks in Halifax.
Oh, is that
So there's a
him? I
new
didn't
Yuck Yucks.
realize it was him. Okay, that's great.
Yeah. Now
Yeah,
the online, there has been a boom of online shows, not just the Zooms,
yeah.
but like the writing workshops. There's also like this talk show kind of got
Yeah.
grown out of the fact that I was stuck in my house. And I have a couple other shows, and there's Elsbeth Wright has Battle of Wits. Were you
Yeah.
did I see that you were on that one?
No, I have not. No.
Okay, it's a wonderful panel show that she does. And there's a number of other shows. Tim Riel does a Codenames Live, and across the world, there's been a boom of
Yeah.
online shows. I'm gonna just do a little shout out to these guys, StreamYard. They have that duck there. They just kind of make it so easy. Now, do you think all these online shows are going to sort of disappear once people can go to the live shows?
I wouldn't say that, no, because for better or worse, this is where the platform is going. To, I mean, it was doing that before the pandemic. Like I tell, especially the older comics that I am, peers with, that you don't make it anymore, you go viral, right?
Right.
Like that alone tells you that we're going that direction, and there's always going to be a place for this. I mean, just look at podcasts. I mean, the success of podcasts is it just proves streaming another thing. Although, total sidebar, I've heard none of this is actually ecologically feasible to go on for the future. So that's going to be interesting to see how that works. But yes, I mean, this is where the future is going. Like I resisted a little bit, but I realize, and I'm sort of, this is why I'm doing the Doug Ford sketches and the little, TikTok. It's because that you have to be there. You have to be online now. This is where people are going for entertainment. They check here first, and got to have some sort of presence here.
Rodney Ramsey has opened up a virtual comedy club. So he's running a comedy club that has a virtual audience that you can interact with, but he does it as a 3D generated avatar as the person who runs the show. But he's using like Zoom technology and OBS to do that. And he has stated that he's going to continue doing that. And I spoke with Corey Mack.
Yeah, he should. Yeah.
And Corey Mack has said that she's going to be doing a hybrid show. So you'll buy tickets locally that you can for people to go and sit in the audience, but then people can watch the stream show.
Yeah.
At the same time, so I think the technology has sort of opened up. So there's these new ventures.
There's going to be new mediums, frankly. I even saw Eddie did one show in LA where he was in the theater but the audience wasn't, which I was like, that's an interesting in between, because at least you're not trapped in this box. This was my biggest problem with Zoom here. This big beautiful body, which I use every little inch of in my comedy, I exploit this for every year it's taking off my life. It's very hard to fit that inside the
there are some Zoom shows that the producers say that
walls here.
I'm sorry, I missed the last bit of what you were saying. And I think we're dropping out again. There's some of the online shows have people have said that they when you sign up for them, you can't be sitting down. You have to be standing up. So that's that. I mean, there is the ability to be using your full body, but you need to have sort of like the dedicated space, or at least be able to make the dedicated space to do that in your venue. So it all comes down to that. Now, you also mentioned that you almost missed an audition thanks to Roger's little kerfuffle.
Yes, the Rogers Network. Unfortunately, my phone is Fido, which is now Rogers, and my Wi-Fi is Rogers.
Okay, something.
So I didn't receive any messages.
So
and I had a big movie of the week audition.
Oh my goodness, we're actually being spammed tonight. This is sorry, we just got a number of spams come in, but there's another message here from Mike Gamash. I'm not putting the spams up on screen, but Mike says I think there will be release of pent up energy that will either be fantastic or catastrophic, one or the other, because of the deprivation of live shows. So
I can kind of
that's
understand that. Like, yeah, there might be too much enthusiasm when we come back. You know, what I mean, like, yeah, we've all experienced a crowd that was a little too hot. You know, there's a middle you're looking for there.
I sort of like those
Oh
because
well, I mean, it's because it's like bull riding. You know,
yeah, exactly. So, see, there you were using your full body. Uh,
exactly.
how much acting have you been doing? I mean, like, well, not just this past year, but prior. Uh,
Honestly, I did, you know, I don't want to say a fair bit, like I wasn't some crazy booker, you know, but when I started comedy, I had actually come through theater. Um, and so all through my 20s and 30s, I did acting, just small parts in TV shows and movies and things like that. And then took much of sorry, I should say 22, 30, I guess, and then took most of my 30s off because I was frankly just enjoying stand up more, and the acting business was frustrating me. And I felt like I was taking that to the audition, which is
right.
not good. But again, just having the time to get away from it, I grew to miss it like an old friend, and the pandemic gave me the perfect opportunity to come back, and because everything's self-taped now. I actually had my first Zoom audition today, which was kind of weird, but it's just fun again to exercise that different part of my brain, and uh, I the only other that as much as
I think I'm about to lose you once more. Oh no, you're back. Well, we've got some hope for the future.
I yeah
I
yeah
want you to break legs on
you always get frozen in the
the
most
audition that
handsome
you did
poses.
today. Just
Oh, thank you, thank
that's the
you.
way. Anytime my camera freezes, that's the look. So if people want to find out more about you, or see your Uncle Dougie videos, check them out on Instagram. That's at Bryan_Hatt. For those who are just listening to that, that's Bryan with a Y. So Bryan Hatt
Hmm.
on underscore Hatt on Instagram. And it's just Bryan again with a Y Hat on Twitter. So Bryan Hatt on Twitter is the way that people can keep track of finding you. So I want to thank you very much, Bryan, for being part of this. Have you enjoyed yourself?
I have, yeah, always great catching up with you, Paul, man. I love you, and I'm glad you're doing well over there, and I can't wait to do this again in person, man.
Yeah, I seriously, I want to hang out.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that, and we'll try not to have lag when we hang out in person. There's
If things go right, I'll be lagging a little
just
bit, just a
just a
little.
little
Okay.
bit. Happy 420 once more. For those of you that were watching, especially
Thank you, buddy.
those of you who commented and hit like, thank you very much for helping to support the channel in that way. If anyone wants to support the channel, there's a donate button on this link tree. It's the first one. It says buy me a drink. That helps to go deferring the cost of putting on the show every week. Thank you very much for everyone who came out to watch and to ask questions. So Bryan_Hatt on Instagram. I'm Paul Ash. This has been They Talk Funny.